Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Joke Rogers. The juntas of Burkina Faso and Mali have issued a joint statement warning that any military intervention against last week's coup leaders in Niger Republic will be considered a declaration of war against their nations. The joint statement was read out by Burkina Faso government spokesperson Jean-Emmanuel Ouarogo in a national broadcast. The statement also partly reads, any military intervention against Niger would entail a withdrawal of Burkina Faso and Mali from ECOWAS, as well as the adoption of self-defense measures in support of the armed forces and the people of Niger. It comes after regional bloc ECOWAS imposed sanctions, including a halt in all financial transactions and a national assets freeze, and said it could authorize force to reinstate Niger's deposed president, Mohamed Bazoum, who is still locked in his palace. Meanwhile, a United States official said the coup had not been fully successful and that there was still an opportunity to reinstate President Bazoum. France and Germany echoed those comments. Well, France has announced preparations to evacuate its citizens from the West African nation of Niger because of anti-French sentiment following last week's coup d'etat. A message sent out by the French embassy in Niamey said it will also help other European nationals to leave. It noted that amid the deteriorating security situation, evacuations by air were being prepared and will take place very soon in a very limited span of space. The coup had prompted demonstrations against the former colonial power, with the French embassy coming under attack. Niger, the third country in the Sahel after Burkina Faso and Mali to experience a coup in less than 3 years. The incidents have been accompanied by anti-French sentiment, with the countries embracing ties with Russia. Meanwhile, the European Union Commission spokesperson has said that the EU is not planning to formally evacuate its staff from Niger, although they are free to leave, adding that they would keep the situation under review. It comes after France announced that it would evacuate French and European citizens from Niger starting today.
Of course, we take the safety of the citizens and our personnel very, very seriously, and we follow the situation. What I said is that for the moment, at this stage, we are making a decision that the people not to formally evacuate, but of course, our team present in Niamey has the possibility to leave the country. And of course, we are following the situation. This means that the decision will be kept constantly under review.
I can confirm that there is no supply risk as such when it comes to the EU. EU utilities have sufficient inventories of natural uranium to mitigate any short-term supply risks, and for the medium and long term, there are enough deposits on the world market to cover the EU needs. That is something that we have ascertained.
In the meantime, a U.S. security analyst has warned that the overthrow of Niger's President Mohamed Bazoum could make the country ripe for the Wagner Group and jihadist groups as the crisis pits Niger's former Western allies against the likes of Russia and other junta leaders in the region. The African Union, the UN, the European Union and other powers have condemned the overthrow of President Mohamed Bazoum, the seventh military takeover in less than 3 years in West and Central Africa, which has undermined democratic progress in one of the world's poorest regions.
We have always been very invested in this country. It'll be really challenging for not just the U.S.'s interest in the region, but I think the continent in general, for us to kind of walk back this notion that we put a lot of investments and diplomatic interest into a certain place, and then it's within a day, it can just be undone that quickly. And there's a sense, obviously, within Washington that, if Russia is present, it's a very binary relationship. There cannot be a presence of the United States there when Russia's there. I think that relationship becomes quite binary. So I think that's also kind of the big concern. And it gives them another opportunity to step in, get paid for their services, and make themselves relevant again. Because after what happened a few weeks ago in Russia, Obviously, there's been a huge question mark about what is the relevance of the Wagner Group, who actually controls them, and what is their role in participating and or influencing global politics. It kind of was disrupted. I think if they were to step into the Niger scenario, it potentially could maybe lend them more relevance, although at the same time, I'm not sure that's fully true, because we look at what they've been doing in Mali, and frankly, their role in Mali has, in lockstep with the Malian armed forces, only actually made things worse. If anything, what we've seen is that in areas that the Wagner Group and the FAMA, the Malian armed forces, have done what they call clearing operations, which is ostensibly a counterterrorism operation.
Let's get more on this. Joining me now is African Affairs Analyst Okui Okpala. Thank you so much for joining us today on the program.
It's always my pleasure. Good afternoon.
Right, so it's quite a difficult situation we're seeing play out there in Niger. There is the 7th coup the country has had. What do you make of this?
Well, I think it also confirms the fact that democracy is in recession in West Africa in particular. And the politicians have failed consistently to deliver on the promise of democracy, and people are beginning to be nonchalant with respect to defending democracy across West Africa. So it's a pity because this is, we are talking about Burkina Faso and Mali, and now you have Niger in addition to these other countries. There is need for politicians to work to confirm for the people that democracy is worth defending. Democracy can deliver. Democracy can provide them with what they need. What has happened is that a group of politicians have appropriated powers to themselves and have not cared for the welfare of the people. And so people are now becoming nonchalant, indifferent whether democracy or not. Yes, it's actually the military that commit coups or do coups. However, if there is no agitation, if the people are fully persuaded about the governance quality they are getting in a democratic government, then they will be invested and then they will have interest in defending that government. And then there will be no opportunity for the pugilists, all these coupists to come in and disrupt democratic process. So I think it is a pity that at this time, democracy is receding. Democracy is not making any progress. People are beginning to doubt whether democracy really serves the interest of the people or not. And this is the symbol of what we are seeing in these anti-democratic forces that are taking over governments. And even where we don't have coups, we are having agitation, we are having militants. So West Africa is becoming very unstable, and there is need for the West African leaders to do something about the governance quality.
And leaders of West African nations, as you have quite rightly said, that the region is becoming a little unstable. The leaders met to condemn the coup in Niger. They gave a one-week ultimatum for the release of President Bazoum. How realistic do you think this is, especially with the threats of military intervention?
Well, it may happen. It will be very, very costly to use military intervention, especially with now the military governments in Burkina Faso and Mali are already warning that, look, they will interpret it as declaration of war against their government and against their country if any foreign power, including West African leaders or France, intervene militarily in the crisis in Niger Republic. There is a danger of turning the whole of West Africa into a theater of war. So it is dangerous. The West African countries, if they are really committed to it and with Western support, can actually push the government out. They may have the military force to push them out. However, it's going to be very costly. At the end of the day, it will be a Pyrrhic victory. I would rather wish that the governments in West Africa should not just be reacting to coups. Even before coup happen, let them speak to themselves. It's not about just defending regimes, but making sure that the regimes hearken to the wishes of the people. Most of governments in West Africa are illegitimate. Even those who conduct elections, rig those elections, vested interests have controlled so-called military government. And people are wondering whether they're in civilian abada or they are in military khaki, are they really representing the people? So the best way to make sure that coups don't happen in West Africa is to make sure that there is governance quality and governments are legitimate. Elections are fair, free, and credible. But when politicians using militias, and also using state capture to entrench themselves into government, and then divert themselves from the wishes of the people, then those rhetorics against military coup may not mean so much for those who feel that, look, illegitimate government, whether they call themselves democratic or not, they don't have to pay allegiance to such government. So I think the priority of West Africa should be, one, to make sure that elections are, and if any of them, any president, any head of state comes to power through a means that is not fair, they should start agitating that time, only when there is a military coup. When there is a electoral coup, they should agitate. When even those who are properly elected begin to deviate and begin to pursue personal interest against the interest of the people, the West African government, ECOWAS government, and even indeed AU government, they should begin to do peer review and talk to themselves. To just say, to gather together only when there is a coup, and even those who came in through queues will now begin to proclaim themselves Democrats and begin to think of a way. No. It is not just a club of heads of state trying to protect their tenures. Let them really work towards protecting the interest of the people and making sure that the voice of people and the wishes of the people actually holds sway in their countries. That's the best way, not necessarily by putting together armies that will push away coupists. Because the basis, the main cause of coups in West Africa is governments that are illegitimate, governments that are not hearkening to the wishes of the people, and governance quality that is very poor. These are the fundamental problems that needs to be tackled.
Program, we're learning of a burst of gunfire that has been heard in the early hours of today in the center of Burkina Faso's capital, Ouagadougou, near the airbase. According to reports, the gunfire began around almost past midnight local time in the heart of the capital before ceasing around 40 minutes later. A security source said the situation is now under control without giving more details. The incident comes 10 months after a coup, the second in less than a year in the country, which has been battling an Islamist insurgency since 2015. Elsewhere, at least 2 people have been killed in the Senegalese town of Ziguinchor during the protests against the detention of the main opposition leader, Ousmane Sonko. The protest comes after the government dissolved Mr. Sonko's party, accusing it of rallying its supporters towards an insurrection. Mr. Sonko appeared in court yesterday and was remanded in custody, charged with plotting an insurrection, criminal conspiracy and other offences. He denies the charges, saying they're politically motivated. However, Senegal's Interior Ministry is calling for calm amid the widespread demonstrations, adding that measures are being taken to maintain stability in the country. Sierra Leonean police have arrested several people, including unnamed senior military officers, for working to undermine the peace and tranquility of the state. In a statement, police said those arrested were planning violent protests between the 7th and 10th of August. It also accused unnamed individuals at home and abroad of plotting to undermine peace in the country. They said that they were fully in control and urged Sierra Leoneans to remain peaceful and go about their normal businesses. Unease has gripped the West African countries since the controversial re-election of President Julius Maada Bio on June the 24th. On July the 5th, Mr. Bio accused Western countries of creating confusion in the country after they expressed concerns over the conduct of the elections in June. Authorities say 41 people who were rescued from a doomsday cult in Kenya earlier this year are to be charged alongside the leader with murder and other offences. According to prosecutors, the victims turned suspects were parents or grandparents of children who died or are missing and alleged that they were culpable for what happened to them. The cult's leader, Paul Mackenzie, is accused of encouraging his followers to starve themselves to death to enter heaven before the world ended. Police investigating the apparent mass suicide have so far exhumed over 400 bodies from the Shakalohola forest in southeastern Kenya. However, more than 600 people are still believed to be missing. Let's turn to our coverage in Sudan now, where suffering is perhaps more real to Islam, one of the refugees from the country now living as a refugee in neighboring Chad. She's calling for urgent shelter from the relentless rain and wind battering her makeshift camp in Chad's Ourang. Islam is one of the hundreds of Sudanese refugees in Chad facing elevated struggle with the extreme weather conditions and no resources or means to set up proper tents. Some refugees have been using makeshift shelters from tarpaulin sheets, while others bundle themselves up in blankets to stay warm. Meanwhile, more Sudanese are arriving to the Sudanese-Chadian border as the fighting continues to rage in West Darfur. Hundreds of thousands of people have fled to Chad since the conflict started over 100 days ago. Meanwhile, the United Nations agencies are warning that Sudan's humanitarian situation is deteriorating rapidly, leaving many without sufficient food or medical supplies. The UN World Food Programme, for instance, said it's deeply concerned about rising food insecurity in the country, and an estimated 19 million people, close to 40% of the entire population, could soon face food shortages. Ongoing fighting has also pushed up the cost of seeds and fertilizers, disrupting planting and production and worsening the country's food crisis. According to UN estimates, in total, 24.7 million people now need humanitarian assistance. The medical situation is also worrying as more than 80% of Sudan's hospitals have stopped functioning. Now to other health and humanitarian issues. 1,800 vials of diphtheria vaccines for children between the ages of 2 to 14 years is expected in Nigeria to help curb the spread of the disease. This was disclosed at a joint press briefing by representatives of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency Authority, the NCDC, UNICEF, and the World Health Organization. The meeting is to seek the collaborative efforts of all stakeholders to support routine immunization against the disease, which has so far claimed 83 lives across 3 states in Nigeria.
Colleagues, good morning. Dr. Eddie Garba is my name.
It's a joint meeting of representatives of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, the National Center for Disease Control, UNICEF, and the World Health Organization. The essence of this meeting is to evaluate the response to the diphtheria outbreak in the country since December 2022 and rub minds on the way forward. According to the Director General of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, one of the major causes of the disease is the poor uptake of routine immunization and adherence to proper hygiene. He reels out steps to curb further spread.
Response to the ongoing diphtheria outbreak will be carried out in 2 phases. Phase 1, the immediate response. This will encompass 25 LGAs across 4 states, Bauchi, Katsina, Yobe, and Kaduna. This phase is scheduled to begin on the 7th of August 2023 and will continue until the 11th of August 2023. The phase 2 will cover outbreak response in 171 LGAs across 6 states. These are Jigawa, that will have 8 LGAs, Borno 4 LGAs, Oshun 4 LGAs, Lagos 3 LGAs, Zamfara 3 LGAs, Gombe 3 LGAs, Plateau 1 LGA, and Nasarawa with also 1 LGA. This phase is planned to be conducted in 3 rounds to rhyme with the 3 doses of the pentavalent vaccine.
For these development partners, emergency response to the disease is key to curbing the spread, making access to vaccine critically important.
In Kaduna, we have been supporting more than 180 teams to do response vaccination. As well, I'm happy to commit here publicly today, based on the request from MPHCDA from Friday, that we are going to support the MPHCDA efforts with 20 million additional nairas to ensure that the reactive vaccination is successful.
1,800 vials of diphtheria antitoxin is expected to arrive in country on 2nd of August, and erythromycin to follow in the next 1 or 2 weeks, pending, of course, other normal government clearance.
According to data by the National Center for Disease Control, NCDC, so far there has been 836 confirmed cases of diphtheria in 33 local government areas across 8 states in Nigeria. Victoria Longjon, Channels Television News.
And we're always looking out for stories that encourages and impacts on the lives of young ones. And here in Nigeria, an 8-year-old gifted chess player is using her love for the board game to make the world a better place as she pushes for more young ones to learn and play the game. Take a listen to her story.
In the bustling suburb of Kubwa, just outside Nigeria's capital Abuja, an 8-year-old chess prodigy is making her mark by using the ancient board game as a tool for change and empowerment. Ivie Orieto has been conquering both local and online chess competitions with her skills and unwavering determination. Orieto hopes to become a grandmaster by the time she turns 15 and believes that by sharing the knowledge of the game with other children across Nigeria, where millions of children are out of school, she will help steer them away from a life of crime.
I go around giving chess because I want people to learn how to play chess so that there will not be crime in the world. The world can be a peaceful place and a better place. These are the bishops. This is the queen.
First introduced to the game at just 4 years old by her father, Clement, Orieto's aptitude for chess quickly became apparent, helping to nurture a unique bond between father and daughter.
Everything I know about chess, I taught her to the best of my knowledge. But because I want her to take it to the next level, I have to give her a coach.
Orieto's successes have also earned her recognition as an ambassador for the US-based The Gift of Chess Foundation.
There's a foundation in the US where she's an ambassador of The Gift of Chess. What happened is that they sent her over 400 chess sets from US. So what we do is we go to neighborhoods, we go to schools, we go to orphanage homes, we give her chess sets, we teach them how to play chess sets. So that was basically what she do. She's the chess player, I'm the one that's taking her around because she's a minor, so I have to be there for her.
Her efforts are already paying off, helping to breathe new life into existing chess clubs in local schools, with teachers acknowledging a surge in the interest from young enthusiasts.
They cannot capture the king. You're black, so you have to move only your piece.
Before her arrival, we already have a chess club, but her coming boosts it. Many children join, they are longing to belong to chess club, and I think her coming improves our club a lot.
Night or your phone.
Despite the challenge of balancing school with her chess commitments, Urieta remains undeterred and has found a way around it. She is becoming an example to her peers as well as to young parents in her community who are increasingly investing in helping their children discover their unique talents due to her influence. According to the International Chess Federation rating, Nigeria ranks number 88 in the world.
Well, that's our show today. Thank you for watching. I'm Joke Rogers.